Now, I want all of you to get this the next time you have your blood drawn, the sooner the better. And I want that number to be under 1.5. Under 1.5. If it's elevated beyond 1.5, it is a sign that there's something that is causing your body to be chronically inflamed. And the reasons for that can be many. And when I work with people, I am a health detective. We find out why that is.
One thing I always say is the hidden villain in our lives as females past the age of 45 or 50, your metabolism and how it's slowing down and how logical and easy it is to take steps to keep it recharged. And Dr. Jessica Heymeyer is going to show us how in today's podcast. Hi, everybody. This is Diane Gilman, formerly known as the Queen of Jeans on QVC HSN, but now the proud host of Too Young to Be Old. And today we have a fascinating guest. And guess what? It's something you're all going to want to hear about. How to naturally kick up your metabolism and lose weight without all those drugs. So, Dr. Jessica Heymeyer, she is data-driven natural medicine practitioner. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Diane. It's a pleasure to be here with you in your community.
My community, which is 50 plus, and I'm at the tip of that at 80. But I was saying to you, Jessica, because you are truly an expert at taking your metabolism, energizing it, and honestly changing your relationship to food. I was saying to Jessica before the show began, I have so many friends that will say the same thing to me when we go to a restaurant or we're talking about planning a menu for an event. And it's like, oh, no, no, no. I'm not eating that. I don't eat that. And their thing to me is always, oh, you're so hard on yourself. Give in. Have a little fun. You know what? Food is and can be pleasurable, but it's not exactly fun. It is not a reward to have bad behavior with your diet. That is not something you should be celebrating. And I want to hear from you because I think the main question, Jessica, is you list 5 overlooked root causes for a slow metabolism. Oh, I'm all ears. Go for it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, just first of all, I love, as we were chatting earlier and talking about how the common conversations we encounter in the world, just to say we are going to talk about the physiology of a slow metabolism. And I just want all of you listeners whose ears are perked up to know that one of the most powerful things you can do is if you've been struggling with your weight and your relationship to food for years or decades, as I know a lot of you have been, the most powerful thing you can do is start to remodel your relationship with food.
What does that mean?
It means begin to look at what doesn't serve you, right? Just as you might remodel a kitchen or a bathroom, you would look around and say, what's not working in this environment aesthetically or functionally? And you would work with a professional to bring your vision to life. And so in your relationship with food, there's a lot I could say about it, but starting to look at just simply put what's not working. And, as you said, Diane, if we are committed to thriving in our health and our life, to relate to something that is in complete opposition to that, like we know it's actually going to be a detriment to our health and our life, like that's the gift or that's the reward, right? We can start to, first of all, just acknowledge that was an inherited perspective. No one made that up. So there's nothing wrong with you, right? It's just a perspective you inherited and it now just really feels true. And then second of all, starting to see if you can let that go and get connected to really at a whole new level. What is your intention for your health in your life? Not your neighbors, not mine, not Diane's. What is your intention for your health in your life?
But when people turn, especially women, turn 45 or 50, I used to be able, as a young woman, because I lived across the alley from a donut factory, which was evil. The smell was just unbelievable. Sit down and eat 6 donuts. 6 glazed donuts at a time. Then, as the years go on, your metabolism starts to slow. I jogged morning, and then that wasn't enough, so I jogged morning and night. But when you talk about the 5 overlooked root causes of a slow metabolism, can you list them for us,
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. So I'm going to list them and then I'm going to go into each of them individually.
Oh,
So
yeah,
to
sounds
list
good.
them out of the gate, the first one is elevated inflammation. And elevated inflammation, sometimes when I'm working with someone, they'll come to me and they'll say, "Hey, listen, I'm really inflamed." And I'll say to them, "Tell me a little bit more about how it's showing up in your body." And they might say, "My joints ache," or "My skin is red," or "I'm bloated." You know, they'll say whatever they say. But more often than not, chronically elevated inflammation, there isn't a clear symptom. In other words, it's silent and chronically elevated, but we can know these numbers through lab tests. So we don't have to guess, we can actually test. So we'll circle back and talk about that a little bit more. So number one is chronically elevated inflammation. Number two, yeah, right, you're like, I hear that, right? So number two is what I like to call detox pathways gunked up detox pathways. And why that's so important for weight is when our detox pathways, which there are really 3 phases of detoxification, we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but when those detox pathways aren't working well, we're going to be exposed to more toxins, and also our hormones aren't going to be processed appropriately because they go through those detox pathways as well. Like oftentimes we just think about pollutants in the environment or what we encounter in our food or whatever the case may be, but our hormones that we're naturally producing, or if you're on HRT, they all go through those detox pathways. So detox pathways gunked up is number 2. Number 3 is nutrient deficiencies or insufficiencies. So we can have nutrient deficiencies that show up on the lab test as just straight up low, but lab low and sufficient are 2 very different things, right? So optimizing, and again, we'll say a little bit more about those nutrient deficiencies in a moment. So far we have inflammation, detox pathways gunked up, nutrient deficiencies and insufficiencies. And then from there, I start to think about our muscle mass. So when muscle mass becomes less as we age, it really takes a big hit on our metabolism. Our muscle is our metabolic magic in the way of revving up our metabolism. So we'll say a little bit more about that in a moment. And then the last thing that I'd say is decreased insulin sensitivity. And insulin sensitivity optimized is, again, just like we talked about the nutrients, different than lab normal. So lab normal for insulin sensitivity will often go up to 18, even 20, and I want to see that number under 7. So to list them all again from top to bottom, we have elevated inflammation, we have detox pathways gunked up, we have nutrient deficiencies and insufficiencies, we have muscle mass loss, and we have decreased insulin sensitivity. So these are 5 commonly overlooked causes of a slow metabolism.
All my life, I've ping-ponged up and down in terms of weight, as high as 200 pounds and as low as 100, 105. When I was younger, I was about 5'6.5". Now I'm about 5'4.5". I've shrunk a little, but always blame myself. Always. The other, I would say probably July, I got a weird flu that was going around New York. You couldn't eat for about 5 days. You were really sick, just felt awful. I took a look at my body and I said, oh my God, that's the body I've dreamt of, because there was no food in it. And I thought, this is exactly how I want to look, but I don't want to be this sick to get there. And the other thing for me, I really notice I don't like green food. I force myself to eat it. And I'm really not that in love with protein, to tell you the truth. And I seem to be gravitating a lot to things like flour, bread that I never went towards before. I think I'm allergic to gluten, but definitely the whole part about inflammation. I am the poster girl for inflammation. So it's so painful and reduces the parameters of your life so much. That's what I always focus on. How to get rid of the inflammation. Can you give me any advice, since it also adapts itself to slow metabolism?
Well, absolutely. So first of all, when we're looking at inflammation, I do encourage all of you who suspect this might be playing a role in your body to get your inflammatory markers checked. This is your health dashboard. You wouldn't drive a car without being able to see how fast you're going, right? You just wouldn't. If you need oil, right? These are just kind of foundations of driving a car, right? These are critical aspects of your health dashboard. And one of them is called high sensitivity C-reactive protein. High sensitivity C-reactive protein, also called HSCRP for short. Now, I want all of you to get this the next time you have your blood drawn, the sooner the better. And I want that number to be under 1.5. Under 1.5. If it's elevated beyond 1.5, it is a sign that there's something that is causing your body to be chronically inflamed. And the reasons for that can be many. And when I work with people, I am a health detective. We find out why that is.
That is
Right?
so great.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. Health detective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So HSCRP is one crucial inflammatory marker you want to know. Another crucial inflammatory marker you want to know is homocysteine. Homocysteine, HOMOCYSTEINE. Homocysteine. Both of these are simple blood draws. Your doctor can order them. Obviously, I can order them, but you need to know these numbers. For homocysteine, I want to see this between 6 and 8. Again, this is a lab where they might call normal up to 10. It's just not true. And again, just like I said about HSCRP, if homocysteine's elevated, some common reasons that we dig in to figure out what the source of it is. So these are two numbers you want to know and you want to monitor over time. Now, to address elevated inflammation, some of that's going to be customized based on what is the source of it. But there are certainly some high-level things we can do to keep inflammation under wraps. One of them is simply put to make sure you are getting those cruciferous vegetables in your life. Cruciferous vegetables being things like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, bok choy. All those guys, listen, I love all non-starchy vegetables in particular, and some starchy ones too for sure. But all non-starchy vegetables I'm going to vote for. But those cruciferous vegetables, there are studies that show they're particularly good at breaking inflammatory cycles.
Oh boy, that's everything I don't like. That's everything, I buy it.
Yeah.
And then it sits in the refrigerator till it's no good anymore. So I have to break the habit of somehow thinking if I just purchase it, I got the results from it. There is a huge change for me that I need to make quickly, I think.
Well, I will tell you, Diane, perhaps my favorite, I call this lazy roasted vegetables, my favorite recipe. This is taking a bag of frozen cauliflower rice, a bag of, those mini sweet peppers, like you can get.
Yeah, I have them in my refrigerator right now. I love those.
So you take the bag of frozen cauliflower rice.
I'm writing this down, yeah.
The bag of mini roasted peppers, put it all on a baking dish, olive oil and curry powder. Curry powder is going to pack a power and anti-inflammatory punch. If you like a high quality salt, like a Himalayan salt or sea salt, sprinkle a little bit down there, bake it in the oven and roast it for 30 minutes. It'll be the easiest thing you've ever made and so delicious. And then you've got those cruciferous vegetables in there with that cauliflower rice. You'll get some great vitamin C and delicious sweetness from the roasted mini peppers. Another vote I'd give for anti-inflammatory actions that are even easier than the cruciferous vegetable world is green tea. Green tea has this antioxidant in it called EGCG, epigallocatechin gallate, and this EGCG doesn't matter, right? But it's a powerful antioxidant. So if you can get that, a cup of green tea in once or twice a day, that is a fabulous boost there. Even if you want to go a notch higher, the organic matcha green tea, which you can just get in a powder, great antioxidants in that, as well as some dopamine producing benefits that are a little bit more than a traditional green tea. So we can take a layered approach in that one.
That's another thing I've got sitting in my cupboard that I've never used. Yeah. I buy this stuff, I'm motivated, and then somehow I just get lost somewhere.
Well, it takes something can just start something new. Just getting present to like, why? Okay, I believe my inflammation is high. Okay, these things would make a difference.
Oh, I know it's high.
Right? Sometimes just really stopping, pausing for a moment and reminding yourself why you care about your health can get you to take that first action.
Just on a quick aside, and then we should go through the mastering the 5 elemental reasons why you have a slow metabolism and therefore find it hellish to lose weight. You cannot go to a regular doctor and have any kind of conversation like this. There are drugs they want to give you, and I'm not sure whether they get paid for giving you those drugs or get a commission or they're rewarded in some way. For instance, my GP, who I decided not to have as a GP because of, would never, ever give me one piece of practical, nutrition based, holistic advice. Everything was a drug that you, chances are, would take the rest of your life.
The simple reason is that they actually don't have the training. In standard MD curriculum, is the training thus far has related to nutrition is about being able to diagnose scurvy and rickets. There's nothing useful. The unfortunate thing about that, Diane, is that people expect their doctor to know something about nutrition, their GP, and unless they have gone out of their way to go get a master's of science in nutrition or, somehow tool themselves up with this information, they do not have it. They just don't. In the same way that I am not the person to seek out care from if you need your appendix removed. Don't come to me for that.
Yeah.
Right? But that seems way more obvious. It's an unfortunate thing that GPs are just simply unwilling to say, thus, most of them anyway, listen, I don't have that tool, but someone else does. Let's see if we can get you in their office.
For me, part of growing older is the more drugs you start taking to have your body function at a certain level, the more control over your body you give up. And so one of my unfavorite things about growing old is feeling the lack of power over health events, when in fact, the more armed you are with information you can turn into action, the more power you have, the better you feel about aging. You feel like it's manageable, not this huge tidal wave of terrible news where it's like the GP I was going to was all about, oh, you've got cholesterol, take statins. Oh, you've got this, take high blood pressure medicine. I had just gotten finished with almost a year's round of chemotherapy and a lot of steroids and I just said, give me a chance to get all of that out of my system and realign myself. And yep, I came back about 4 months later, no more high blood pressure, no more cholesterol, and I identified myself, and she seemed dismayed, but I was actually very proud of myself for taking some control of me. So let's talk about the other points of slow metabolism that make for middle age always being seen as a time when your weight is going to go out of control and it's linked to menopause and you're powerless. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah, well, so we step into the conversation about detoxification. Most simple way we could think about this is, am I taking in more toxins than would be appropriate or ideal for my body? What load can I reduce? What amount of water flowing into the bathtub can I reduce?
What toxins?
Are things like alcohol, in this day and age, cannabis, and then also personal care products, what we're exposed to in our cleaners and what we're putting on our skin. Those can be source of toxins as well. So just looking at toxins as a whole, can we go organic when we're getting food when possible? Listen, all of us like to be social and eat out, so it's not always going to be possible, but there are times we have more control and we can make that choice. So that's the what's coming in. And then in what's going out, a few things I'd say is, if you're not pooping, your detox pathways are gunked up, because we're not just what we eat, we're what we don't excrete. So Yeah, so making sure you're having healthy bowel movements. There are a lot of different things we can do. I actually, with a dear friend, created a supplement called Daily Duty that is a packet that people can take at night. It contains magnesium, probiotics, and fiber, all very safe, all very natural, wonderful. There are a lot of things you can do in the supplement world to relieve constipation. But of course, there's making sure you're hydrating properly, making sure you're getting enough fiber. So that's the whole world of, detoxification, and then also making sure you're getting those antioxidants and vitamins and minerals required to fuel your detox pathway. So when I work with people, like I said, if I suspect this is what's going on, we're going to get curious about what is slowing these, both in the way of the nutrients required to run them, what's coming in, what's going out. So that's the detox pathway world. In the world of nutrient deficiencies and insufficiencies, this really is a matter of lab testing. The key ones that I would highlight here are B12, I would highlight folate, I would highlight omega-3 fatty acids and vitamin D, zinc, and magnesium. These are all nutrients that play their own unique magical role in your metabolism. So get those tests, know those numbers, make sure they're optimal for you. Beyond the nutrient deficiencies, looking at muscle mass, pretty simple. Make sure two things that you can do, right? It's the protein and it's the using of the muscles, right? Creatine is all the rage right now. Creatine is like not on the list. If you're not getting enough protein, if you are not doing strength training, meaningful, challenging strength training, don't bother with the creatine. Get going with sufficient protein, which is about, call it, anywhere from, if you're half a gram of protein per pound is on the low end. So if you're 120 pounds, that's 60 grams of protein a day.
Oh my God.
Right. And ideally, probably closer to 100 or maybe even 1 gram per pound. Getting that specific, just my encouragement is, if you listeners are like, oh my gosh, I'm like Diane, I don't eat protein, just start eating more protein. Don't get overwhelmed by the numbers. Just play a better game, like today.
And are we talking animal protein?
These are whole proteins, so you're going to get all of the essential amino acids. I know some people are like, I don't care, never doing it. Fine. I meet people where they are. So while I personally am an omnivore, plants are, the foundation, but I eat plenty of animal-based proteins. So clean animal-based proteins is what I would encourage, but if that's not in the cards for you, fine, get it a different way. Look at your vegetarian or vegan-based protein sources and prioritize there. But for health advantages, I see it as an unfortunate truth that it seems like most human beings, not as a rule like gravity, but most human beings do tend to do best with some animal proteins in their diet.
I tried being vegan. It was just impossible.
Well, and oftentimes those are the people who I work with who are the sickest, not always, but often. And then, lastly, we have that insulin sensitivity conundrum. And that really is a few different things. Some of that is related to nutrients and inflammation, because hormones aren't going to work well if you don't have the right nutrients or there's more inflammation, because insulin is a hormone and hormones work like a ball and a mitt. So you need to produce the hormone and you need to receive the message. And so if the ball is wonky or the mitt is not catching the ball, you're going to have a problem. So different nutrients I think about with regards to insulin are vitamin D and omega-3 fatty acids in particular. There's other things I could say, but those are high on the list. And then from a nutritional perspective, I really am such a champion for people giving up the all or nothing approach, overindulgence or deprivation. And I say this to encourage you listeners to play a better game and give up the inherited perfect game. The overindulgence and deprivation, that dancing back and forth, nobody wins in that paradigm. I want you to live in your middle ground. And so with that, to play a better game as it pertains to insulin sensitivity, which I want your fasting insulin to be 7 or less. You want to add that to your dashboard, your lab dashboard, your health dashboard, insulin of 7 or less. I would be looking at, from a nutritional perspective, bringing down sugar, bringing down the simple carbs, the bread, the pasta, the white rice, alcohol, all those things, bringing up fiber, bringing up high quality protein, bringing up our healthy fats like avocado and olive oil and nuts and seeds and those kind of things.
A lot of this has to do, I believe, with hormonal balance. But what happens when you get to somebody like me, and this is sort of final thought, but I'm being selfish and trying to get as much unbelievable information to better my diet and improve my life as I can from Dr. Heymeyer. I went through chemotherapy for almost a year. I had estrogen-based breast cancer, and so I had to really clear out anything from my diet that could produce estrogen, encourage estrogen. And I'll tell you what, for me, to me, my attitude is estrogen is the key to female life. So what would you say? I've got a particular situation with breast cancer, although many women, about 40% of all women are going to have that at some level within their lifetime. And for women that are just losing estrogen by the day because of aging, which we should all be celebrating, not be terrified of, what is your advice? I'm always looking for ways to take care of my body and have it express itself through that healthy glow. And I think I found what to me is a miracle. It is called Amra. It's got all sorts of collagen. It's got peptides. It has vitamins. It has minerals. And it's just this tiny little scoop of it. I don't even take it with juice. Honestly, I just pop it in my mouth. It tastes like butterscotch. It absorbs quickly and it makes a big difference. As you age, even if you are eating correctly, you are absorbing less vitamins. That's just what happens to your body. You need a supplement that's easy to take, almost instantaneously gives you results, more energy, better looking skin and hair, and helps you form a healthy habit and start to get all the nutrients you need. That is Amra. I love Amra.
I would say two things. One is soy, high quality soy products. There have been studies. I know this might make people go, wait, why is she talking about soy? Diane just said she had estrogen sensitive breast cancer, right? The person who coined the phrase phytoestrogen has since said he regretted coining the phrase because he gets that it created this whole fear around phytoestrogens, plant estrogens.
Totally.
Right? A study was completed that looked at women with a history of breast cancer, and they put them into two categories. They didn't have them change anything. They put them into a category of high soy consumption and low soy consumption. They just had them do what they were doing, and they followed them over the course of a long period of time. And what they found is that the women who were eating soy actually had decreased breast cancer recurrent. It does tell us that there seems to be, based on what we know so far, some benefit related to soy. Now, of course, I want to encourage, especially with soy, corn, these are crops that are heavily GMO'd. So we want to go organic with soy, at the very least non-GMO, but ideally organic with soy. That is one thing that you might consider bringing back into your world if you've since eliminated it. And then in the world of, again, cruciferous vegetables actually have a really powerful, they contain two things, DIM and I3C, indole-3-carbinol and diindolylmethane. And these two guys, what they do such a great job of is they help us process our estrogens in the optimal way. They help us take the most potent and estrogenic estrogen that is more associated with estrogen sensitive cancers and turn it into still a form of estrogen, but one that doesn't have the same effect.
Well, I'm going to have to change my relationship with kale. I see that right now. I'm going to begin by ordering some, and then I'm going to figure out a way to ingest it that is enjoyable for me. I'm that kind of person. If you put me in the right direction, I will work hard.
You'll figure it out.
Find a way. We want to say again, thank you to Dr. Jessica Hehmeyer, and we will leave all the graphics for her at the end of this podcast. So if you want to get in touch with her, get on a program, even if you do not live around her, you know what? Honestly, I still agree. You are what you eat, and especially as you get older. I think of myself, if we're going to think in car terms that we talk about, I am a vintage 1960 aqua blue Thunderbird. You don't take me out on the highway all the time, but you take very, very careful care of me, and I can last a long time. So, Jessica, thank you so much.
My
Wow.
pleasure, Diane. I also love your car analogy. My older brother, Matt, is a car fanatic, and he has that very car you're speaking of.
Oh no! Excellent! That's
I'll
great.
send you a picture of it.
Do, and we'll post it. Thank you, Jessica. This was really not only informative, but encouraging. And I want to encourage our community. You are what you eat, but you also are your own choices. And with choices comes personal power. And with personal power comes definitely a level of peace of mind. So, everybody, take care, and may you always be too young to be old. Thank you so much for listening to Too Young to Be Old podcast. The episode may be over, but the fun doesn't have to stop here. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at The Diane Gilman, or visit our website, thedianegilman.com. If you like the show, leave us a rating or a review and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. And until then, don't forget, age is just a number. Together, we'll prove that we are all too young to be old.